All right. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. Today we are gonna talk about your questions about DasBox and DasScript. But before we go to the main section, let me announce that there will be 2 more of such streams where guides and experts will answer your DasScript and DasBox questions. You can ask your question in Discord, but it's better to just fill the form by this link so that we could see your questions. Yeah, so today I'm gonna be covering the questions that you ask via this form, but don't hesitate to ask questions during the live stream. I'll try to answer them as well. Okay, let's start, shall we? So the first question is there any documentation about ECS except for the source code? And the short answer is no, but let me show where to look. And before we actually continue, let me duplicate the most important information in Russian as well. Ребята, привет! Сегодня будет первый стрим с ответами на вопросы по DasScript и DasBox. Вот, мы отвечаем на вопросы, которые вы писали в форму. Вот ссылочку я скинул. Вот, можете задавать эти вопросы в Дискорде, в чате и вот по этой форме. Эта форма на самом деле лучше всего, как форма с фидбэком, потому что мы сможем подобрать вопросы и заранее задать их экспертам. Вот. Будет еще 2 таких же стрима, и их буду вести уже не я, их будет вести Борис Баткин. Это, собственно, один из разработчиков, один из главных разработчиков DasScript. Вот так. Не стесняйтесь задавать вопросы в течение стрима. Я думаю, что постараюсь на них ответить, ну или хотя бы показать, где смотреть, что можно тыкать. И стрим будет на английском, но иногда я буду переключаться на русский. Вот. Hello. Okay, let's start. So the first question was about the ECS documentation. Let me show you where to look. First of all, yeah, I prepared. Let me show you. Okay, so I've prepared a few spots where you can look on the documentation. So the main source of documentation is to just go and see if the official site has it. Like the first thing that I would do is to just type the ECS here, and if it's not here, then I will just go directly to the main repository. And inside those repository, there is actually a source code for the entire module, like for the entire ECS module, and it's pretty straightforward. So here in the DASLib, you have these two files, and there are more things like templates. So you can start from this module, but if you're just a beginner, it might be hard to read and understand the entire ECS thing and its implementation. So in short, the implementation use archetype-based solution for the ECS. That means that every entity has an associated archetype with it. It's basically a table with the components, and that's basically it for the storage. And there are a lot of the main thing that you can do here is to describe the path here, and another thing which is the most common is create entity. So this one. So this is what you're most likely gonna do when you will try to use ECS in that script. And it will automatically try to create all necessary things, and it will also add a defer action to actually create, and that's why it needs the lambda here. And the usage sum example is could be found in the DAS box, as well as there are two more sources. The first one is if you go to directly to the Boris Batkin GitHub, there is a .glfw framework, like glfw bindings, and there is an example app, and it contains the ECS sample here. So it's more complex than in DASBox, and it also uses another bindings. But if you want to have a look at how it's used, let me just put the link here. That's another example how to use ECS. And if you want to have a look at how this thing is implemented, you can go and check the source code, but you need to find it first. So there's a DECS boost.das, and it actually contains this DECS template implementation, and this is a macro definition. And you can, if you're familiar how the script macro definition works and what you can do with the abstract syntax tree for of the language, then you can check this template and see. Может, все-таки на русском? Нет, основной контент будет на английском. Если у тебя есть вопросы на русском, можешь задавать, я их продублирую на русском и на английском. Okay, let me continue. So for the basically what it does is it's a syntax sugar for this. It basically tries to set all necessary fields for the entity from this structure that's defined under the macro definition. That's what it does. Жаль, у меня их тогда слишком много. Ну, можно задавать какие-нибудь базовые, не переживай. Я на любые вопросы постараюсь ответить. Okay. And this is a typical code how you work with the ECS. So you first you create an entity and you get an ID, and this create entity takes a lambda, and inside those lambda you need to construct all necessary fields. You can either set it directly, or you can apply the template if you have a structure. For example, in ECS example in the DAS box. Let me show you. What it does is it applies the template directly and also sets the entity ID, and that's it. And because it's very simple, there's nothing to show more, I guess. But this sample is actually more complex because it also contains the, for example, it can create different entities that has the similar fields, for example, and it could also have a system which takes these custom fields like that. So you don't have to like always define the structures if you want to write a specific system. So that's I guess the benefit of the implementation of the ECS. But yeah, again, all those learnings, like when I was preparing for this live stream, most of these like reference was the source code. So I read this example, and I also had a look at the module itself, and it's pretty much explanatory. Ссылку на документацию можно. На документацию по DaScript. So if you want to... Вот, это документация на DaScript. Вот здесь есть все исходники, которые я как раз показываю. И вот ссылку на пример Бориса Паткина я скидывал тоже. Okay. So I think that's mostly cover how and where to look ECS documentation. You can even have a look at how it implements its systems. For example, in this like more complex sample, you might have noticed that the stage named differently. Like it could contain like different names, and it could also contain like requirements and stuff like that. And in the implementation here, you can search for the DCS path and see how they registered, for example. And you can see that they sorted by their names. So that's one thing that might be useful for you. And again, you can learn more in this module source code. It's not that big. It's like less than 1,000 lines of DaScript code. I mean, the main module. Okay. One of the most asked questions is how to enable debugger and how to debug the programs, because like people have trouble on the with the debugger and Visual Studio Code. I also had troubles with the debugging in VS Code, but I noticed that there are a few things that you can do in order to troubleshoot the debug process. So, like the main thing to do, like the main thing to check is that you have these two lines uncommented. If you have them, because by default when you create a new project, they are commented. And this is the main thing that you need to do first. Like you need to uncomment these two. Another thing that might be problematic is if you put the DAS box inside a folder with a name that contains spaces, you might get into trouble. So make sure your full path does not contain spaces. I mean, yeah, it might sound silly, but it is what it is. You need to double check that you have a proper path, like the absolute path, because here in the there's the game, and in the settings JSON, if this path contains spaces like so, for example, then this is where the problem might be, or in your case. Another thing, if you have like a proper path and if you uncommented these two things, make sure, well, first try to launch your game via the via this like the script launch mode. Hit F5 and see if it works or not. Okay. And what you can do is to create a breakpoint. Let's say I want to see what will happen if I create a bullet. Yeah, so it works. And I can do like step in, step out as usual, and have a look at the values. Basically the same debugging capabilities. And I still expected some troubles with the attach option. I'm not sure what I do wrong, but I mean, I can attach to the DAS box, but it doesn't allow me to set breakpoints. They seems to be disabled, and I still haven't figured out the reason. But if you just use launch mode, then it should work just fine. Another thing to do is the first run of the debugger might ask you for the permission, and it might take some time in order to operating system to ask for your permission, and the debugger client can be timeout because it's not waiting too long. But you can increase that in the where it is in the load JSON. You can increase the timeout value. It's, by the way, it's in seconds here. You can increase timeout value, for example, to 4 or even 10. In my case, I increased it to 10, and it worked fine. Yeah, that's what I did, and that's what helped me. And if this doesn't work, try to update the Visual Studio Code, try to reinstall these two extensions, try to download the latest DasBox build, because like the latest DasBox was like it was updated like yesterday. So make sure you did this first, then make sure you uncommented the lines in your script. Oh, and one more thing. If you use launch mode, make sure you're launching your you open your main script and then press F5, because the launch mode just it tries to launch the current opened file. So that might be another problem, because if I try to hit F5 here, it won't be able to run DasBox. And I mean, it will run DasBox, but it won't be able to load my game. Okay, the question. Есть структура, у которой есть поле stages, array, массив массивов. Собственно, при парсинге JSON пытаюсь пушнуть stages, массив, array, float. 4. Естественно, ошибка. Can't push value which can't be copied. Я думаю, что, во-первых, себе массив массивов проще сделать одномерным массивом, вот, и просто индекс считать более правильно. Тогда ты сможешь пушить эти флоуты, как тебе захочется. Вот. Ну, то есть вместо... То есть я понимаю, почему хочется делать так, чтобы у тебя было... Сейчас. Чтобы у тебя можно было условно вот так вот индексироваться. Вот, но такую штуку лучше, конечно, делать по-другому. То есть, если ты не можешь избежать вот этого вложенного массива, тогда я бы это завернул в структуру, например, я бы назвал, не знаю, там, nested array, а если, например, у этого есть какой-то смысл, я бы назвал эту структуру по смыслу. Ну, например, это у меня массив меши, а здесь массив геометрии. Я бы тогда это назвал там mesh vertices, например. У него бы сделал, собственно, дата, у него бы сделал array float 4. Вот. Или, может быть, даже класс я бы сделал, вот, который нетривиально копируется. Вот. И здесь бы я уже сделал так. Вот. Тогда бы, наверное, можно было бы попробовать так сделать. Но первое, что я бы сделал, я бы это завернул просто во float 4. Вот. А индекс я бы считал как и на там row size плюс g. Ну, то есть достаточно стандартная техника, как в общем-то, делается. Вот это size y. Вот так можно по-другому назвать. Okay, let me duplicate the answer in English. The question was that there was some trouble pushing the value to array of arrays. And the main reason because this thing is can't be like copied. That was the main problem, and therefore it can be pushed. One of the solution is to don't use nested array. Is to not use nested array and just use a single array and put the data and index it like so. That's the one of the solution. But if you really want like a flexible column size here, and then the next thing to do is to try to make it the nested array into a struct. And in my case, like I tried to name it to the specific purpose. For example, if this is an array of meshes and nested array is an array of vertices, then I will call the structure mesh vertices, like so, and then try to put it here. If it still won't copy, then I'll try to make it a class and try to make a proper initialization and copy. That's the thing to try and to work with. Okay. Again, speaking. Let's return back to Debug, and yeah, I think well, first thing to do is to reinstall all this like plugins, extensions, VS Code, and grab the latest task box, and then create a fresh new project and uncomment these 2 lines, and then try to launch it. If it won't work, make sure your path does not contain any spaces, and also if like the debugger fails to connect because it's timed out, then you can increase the timeout value here. And I think that should solve most of the problems. But if you do still have problems, then feel free to ask in the Discord, in our Discord server, and we will try to help. Okay, next question. It's actually about DashBox, and the question is how to use transform 2D, like how transform 2D reset, push, and pop works, how to create a camera structure and use it and switch between different cameras. Well, I already prepared the solution for it. And if you watch the first stream where I live coded this game, like, or the very similar game, what we see here is basically a player and a fixed camera. Well, I didn't do anything, but yeah, that's what the default, let's call it camera or transformation will look like. So the coordinate center is here, and the y-axis looks down, and the x-axis looks right. And if you want to make a camera, and like, let's say you want to make a bigger map and you want the player to move, and you want the player to be always in the center, in the middle of the screen, what you can do is you can use this thing. You can use transform 2D, and let me show you. But before I show you how it works, let me just draw a simple map here. It's just the dots. Yeah. And if I move like behind the screen, then yeah, this is the problem that we try to solve with the camera. Well, let me just comment on this. And one of the solutions is to do this thing. So what we can do with transform to the push and pop is to we could remember the current common math problems. Yeah, exactly. We could save the current coordinate system position into a stack. Well, not only position, but like it's the entire transform. And the what we can do next is we can move the coordinate system into another place, like so. Transform to the what's called, I don't remember. Transform to the translate. Okay, let's use this one. And we could move it like 10 pixels. No? Or let's use 150. Yeah, so it moved, as you can see, but it still doesn't work like we want it to work. So what if instead of putting a fixed offset here, we'll just put a player position? Let's try. Okay, it somewhat works, but not really. What you also need to do is you need to put an offset. Well, first of all, you need to reverse this. And right now, this our coordinate system is in the center of the player, but the overall viewport it's like the player center right now is in the 0 coordinates, and that works fine in terms of the how the overall camera moves, but we kind of want it to be in the middle of the screen again. And so what we can do is we can add another offset, like fixed offset. Let's call it offset, and we want it basically to be half of the screen. So we also use this offset. Okay, so this is how it works. But let me also put this back, like in the live stream. I use this code, like so the player look is basically look at where the mouse is and where the player position is, and it tries to make a directional vector and set it as a direction. But right now, as we move, this code won't work properly anymore. So we need to, and that is because the mouse coordinates are right now are kinda in the camera space, but the player position is kinda in the let's call it world space, because like the player position is the absolute value of the, like, let's call it world center, but the mouse position are relative to the screen, which is right now attached to the camera, and so that we can't look properly, and we also need to offset it properly, and the offset is the same. So we have this offset, and we need to convert the local space, like camera space coordinate, into a world space. So here's how we can do it. So basically applying this offset, but in reverse order. So that's how we solve it, and that's how all these transform coordinate work. And if you want to make a class or a structure, you can do it like so. I already made a simple example how you can do it, and it uses the same technique that I already showed you. So the camera structure looks like this. It's the position and the offset. The offset is a fixed offset relative to the screen, and most likely you're gonna use the half screen offset. So that's why I initialize it by default for the convenience. And yeah, and there are some helper methods such as like push, pop, and coordinate conversion. And this coordinate conversion is very simple because it doesn't take the rotation into account. But even in a rotation, it's not that hard to do the math. What else? If you have this kind of structure and this kind of API, what you can do is you can basically do the same push and pop calls, but with the different cameras. So you can have multiple cameras. You can switch between them. Let's say this could be the active camera, and in the draw code you can only render using the active camera, and inside your act code you can determine which camera to use, whether land on the game state or input, or I don't know, it's up to you. And yeah, we can do many different things. For example, we can just initialize the default camera using the player position and do nothing, and we will have a fixed camera, and it looks like the same game that it was before, but underline, like under the hood, it used all the camera and coordinate conversion and the push pop calls, and you can play with the camera position now. So you can, for example, set it to always to be a player position, so that you have it attached to the player position. Or you can do an even fancier things, such as do a smooth transition to the player position. So you might have a smooth camera, like so. So it's very simple technique, but it's kind of powerful because, well, you can do a lot of stuff with it. Or you can, let's say I want to have a target which is float 2. I don't even need this. Let's say I want this thing. So I have a target, so it's worked the same. But instead of like setting the camera position like so, I want to be in the middle of the target and position. Oh, sorry, it's not camera dot target, it's just target. No? Oh, okay, okay. It's not like that, it's like that. Okay, see, now it reacts on the where we are looking at. So this, and this is just a very simple logic, but it can be very powerful depending on your game. So yeah, oh wow. Or you can try it to be closer to the player. Not like that. Like that. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is about why does the network library doesn't have a client functionality, only the server? And the answer is actually in the documentation. So I think it's the main reason is just it's work in progress and the client will be there at some point. But the first thing that was needed is the server because it's used for the debugger or for the, I don't know, like for the, like all the like language server or probably for the extensions or something like this. So that's why the server was the first priority, or at least I think that's why it was like so. And in the documentation here, in the network bucket library, so it says that yeah, it's used in the VS Code plugin and for the debug server, and it would be expanded. So yeah, and what does it mean is you can't use this library for your networking, like to implement network games, or at least now. And I'm pretty much sure that you won't be able to do so for the entire jam. So that's the limitation, I guess. Okay. What else? I don't have an access for the specific Discord channel looking for a team. That probably means that you haven't registered in our jam. If you don't see any of these channels, like jam related channels such as looking for a team or show your progress or main, that means you need to register, and in order to do so, well, first go and check the rules channel and also check the main information on the welcome channel. It says that you need to write a message to the Gaijin Jam bot and answer its questions, and once you get the role, I think you will see all the necessary channels and will be able to look for a team and participate in the jam. Yeah, I think I covered most of the questions right now, so feel free to ask them more right now before we shut down this stream. I think I'll spend like 5 or 10 more minutes answering the community questions, and after that we'll just end this stream. Yeah, and while I'm waiting for the questions. Let me just show how to let's play with the camera and implement the switching logic between fixed and like non-fixed camera. I'm curious. Okay, so what we need to do is the, let's call it smart camera and fixed camera. And also, what should we do? What should we do? How do we make it? Let's try. Let's try it like this. And if we have active camera, let's actually try to use these specific operators. I'm very curious how to use them properly. I never use them, and yeah, I will also learn with you. Where it is should be operators. Or expressions, probably. Yeah, this one. Null call is an operator. Yes. Let's try it. So let's call it like so. Camera to world. Ну. Можешь пояснить за структурой, кинул код в Discord main.ru. Сейчас гляну. Так, сейчас посмотрим. Can't write to a constant value. Let me show the code. So this case. Yeah, first of all, you need to, if you want to override this input value, you need to put a var here, so that says that it's modifiable. Yeah, and I think you already have the answer. Okay, any more questions? Oh, so it doesn't. Null propagation operator. Yeah, don't think. Can I just like this? No. Let's try to do it that way then. If it's not null, then let's try the old-fashioned way. Okay. So the active camera, and here where we gonna use the null call as an operator. No? Oh, okay. I don't know what the problem is this. If we don't have any camera, I don't really like it, but let's do it. like that. I guess we should do it like so. Take camera. No. Okay. No. I don't like this code. Okay, let's do it old-fashioned way. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What else? And here. Camera. If it's not null, then like so. Yeah. And the same thing here. Not really happy, but yeah. Okay, so right now the active camera is null and therefore it's fixed. But let's say I want to switch it. And if it key down, VK, let's call it O, then the active camera will be the smart camera. If key down, VK P, then the active camera will be the fixed camera. Let's try that. And also actually we don't need to work with active camera here. We'll just update smart camera position here because it's attached to the player. Can I use this? Okay. And then let's call P, or no, O. The reference in null pointer. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, it's, I guess, oh, it's not crashed. Okay. Can I? There should be. Okay. Oh, so it's move. Okay. It's a move operator. Can I use? No? Still no. Oh, it's also a pointer. Okay, I get it. Let's put it that way. So it's also a pointer, so that we could assign it. Okay. Okay. Right now, so the fixed camera. Do I need to use new? Probably not. Okay, let me Okay, let's forget about these pointers. Let's just use it the old-fashioned way. So the active camera, we'll just copy it. Like so. And yeah, the code will be much simpler. I don't need the pointers here. I will just copy. Okay. And when I press O, okay, so right now, no. Oh, it's not copied. Yeah, I probably need to. Yeah. 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 I need to somehow use the pointer or somehow have a weak reference to it. Yeah, but we can switch between different cameras like so. I don't think it will be a problem to reference stuff. Can I use? Let me try this. One more thing. So the camera is this. Can I use this operator? The address? No. Can I use like so? And then just assign it. Can only copy compatible type. Can I convert it? I'm really curious right now. So see, that's how I learned that script. Just play with it and try to make simple things. And if it doesn't work, let's just go and have a look at the samples. Let's see, maybe we can find it something useful here. Does it have any references? No. Oh, okay. And actually, see, this is what I meant by the nested arrays. So, for example, here is the array of the grass mesh, and inside of grass mesh, see, this is the same approach that I showed to you. So inside this track there is an array. So this is basically an array of arrays. So that's how you work with it. You can structure it like that. It's really up to you. Okay, let's see what else it has. I don't think we'll see something with nullables. Yeah, it's really simple code. Okay, let's go and have a look at the more sophisticated stuff, like inside the Nutlib, for example. If not null. Or I don't know, what else do we need to see? Probably it's the source code, built-in, probably like file.io. So the file here, for example, open. But yeah, I don't think we'll see something useful here. Assignment. Okay, so it's a move assignment. We don't need move assignment. No. I don't think we will be able to make a reference. It's just a full copy. Okay then, in this case, I think we'll probably just use a boolean or some enum value that will allow us to select which camera to use, or just have a single camera, but then we'll make an enum with the camera modes, so that we could select different cameras. Or we can even put the camera inside a player, and that might be probably a bad idea, but yeah. Yeah, I think that's how we're gonna do it. So we'll have a single camera, like so, and then we'll have just the, let's call it smart camera mode, which is basically boolean, and it's false. And then if we press this key, then the smart camera mode is true, or the enum value is true, or, well, not true, but it will contain some other value. And here is the camera. Here's our target, and this is our camera. Sorry. Like that. Yeah, it also, yeah, the code is simpler now. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Yeah, and if smart camera mode and then this, else camera pose is at the fixed position. Yeah, so that works just fine. Or we could just use a player position, make it fixed. No, it won't be. Okay, let's just put it like that. Or 2, let's bring this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's how you can switch between different cameras or between different camera modes, to be precise. Okay, any more questions before we end this live stream? I think I've answered most of the questions that you asked. And again, let me put the link to the form that you can fill in order to ask a question for the next live stream. Okay, so I think we will end up this stream, and the next stream will be, let me double check where the schedule is. So the next stream will be March 11th, and it will be 19 Moscow time, or or 16 UTC time. All right then. I think I'll see you in the next stream. Well, not me, but I will be there as well. All right, so thank you for your questions and good luck on the Gaijin Jam, and don't hesitate to ask questions regardless of the place. Like, ask everywhere you like. All right, I'll see you. Bye.